Sore wrists, pretty much a contact point with the bars, and can really turn a nice ride into a bit of a hellish experience when the pain really starts to build up. Which is why I'm meeting up with everyone's favourite Irish physio today to get some really good advice on how to fix any sore wrists, any strength work, bike fit, flexibility exercises that you can do to banish those wrists into the previous past. Just be a nightmare. It never happens. Come with me. Brian, we're back for more. Thanks for having us once again. Today we're talking about wrists though. And sore wrists on the bike, they can feel inevitable, especially when you've got a long day in the saddle, you're always gripping the bars and things do get sore. So what do you think are the main causes of sore wrists?
So more often than not, it's a pressure related problem. So we're looking at too much of the rider's weight being forward on the bike. And as a result of that, we put pressure through some of the sensitive structures in the wrist. And in this case, we're talking about the median nerve and the ulnar nerve. And when we add pressure to those nerves, over time, the blood supply is affected. And as that happens, we start to develop symptoms, tingling, numbness, or burning pain in our hands. And as you said, that quickly ruins a ride.
Okay, so it sounds like bike fit's got quite a lot to do with this. So let me head over to my bike, see what my fit's like and see if we can change anything, but also see if the viewers can learn anything that they might be able to change themselves.
Great, let's have a look.
Okay, Brian, let's talk through bike fit and what we can do to solve our wrist pain.
So as we said, wrist pain and problems on the bike are generally a result of poorly spread balance across your contact points. So what I normally get riders to do is get on their turbo trainer if they have one, start pedaling away and riding and see whether they can lift their hands off the bar. So do you want to have a try of that?
Oh, there we go, like an eagle.
Yeah, so pretty well managed in your case. And if you're finding that when you do this test that you're sliding forward down off the saddle, this may mean that your saddle nose is tilted too far down and it's creating a shift of your weight forward. If you find that your weight just falls forward but you're staying planted on the saddle, this may indicate that the saddle setback is shifted too far forward and again putting your weight onto the front of the bike. So those are the two things to consider from a saddle perspective. At the front end of the bike, the two factors that contribute to increasing pressure in the hands are the reach, so that's how long your stem is, and in addition to that, the drop, so how far down from the saddle your bars are. And your flexibility and strength can then also feed into that. So if we find that the bike position is good, but we're struggling to hold that position, we might need to look at some things off the bike to address it.
Okay, so that's really good points. And basically trying to take the weight off our wrist, make sure our body is evenly balanced. But say we are balanced and we're still, we're not able to hold ourselves up in that position still, and our bike fit is good. Are there any kind of strength exercises or is there any kind of, flexibility issues at play?
Yeah, so those factors feed into it. And if we assess that your balance is reasonably well supported, but you're struggling to hold it for longer periods, that's when we need to look at things in the gym and off the bike. So let's look at that next.
Okay, wrists then, what can we do? Strength and flexibility.
So really what we want to try to do is reduce, minimize, or control how much weight is ending up arriving at the wrist and hand. So a great way to do that is to be better with the muscles that help us to hinge forward and hold our position over the bike. So a hip hinge exercise is great to do this. We'll add in a little bit of shoulder exercise to this as well. So place your feet just a little bit wider than shoulders width, and we want to focus on pushing the hips back behind us as we reach the hands in front. So we're going to push the hips back, reach the hands up in front, trying to keep the chest nice and tall, squeezing the shoulder blades open, and then coming back up to standing. So what we're working on here is pushing the hips back, getting a nice bit of hamstring work, but work all the way through the back. So do you want to come and have a try of that? So what we want to do is we want to make sure we push the hips back, keep the knees straight, get that stretched into the hamstrings, lift the arms out, get those muscles working in between the shoulder blades, lower back and hamstrings. Good, and then standing up nice and tall, squeeze through the glutes. That's it. Push the hips back behind you, feeling that load through the hamstrings, lower back and in between the shoulder blades, really open the arms out.
On camera, I'm sure this doesn't look hard, but I'm literally feeling it everywhere. I feel it really in my upper back, in my hamstrings as well. And you feel it in your shoulders too.
Right through your shoulders.
That's tough actually. It's a really tough exercise.
Yeah,
but I was doing it wrong a second ago. I was doing more of a squat, wasn't I, Brian? So this is more about your back kind of bending at the hips.
Yeah, it's really making it a hip hinge. So you're really trying to form like an L position. Okay, there's only a slight bend at the knees and you're really trying to keep the shoulders open, squeezing through the back, lower back and hamstrings, and squeezing tall. And this is going to help that ability to span your weight over the bike. Less weight then ends up going through the hands. Nice work.
That's great. Thanks, Brian. So what can we do in terms of flexibility for our wrists, Brian?
So we're going to look at something slightly different. So rather than necessarily stretching for any particular muscles or tendons, we're going to look at doing nerve gliding or nerve flossing exercises. Okay, so something slightly different. And what this involves is just gently moving the nerve from end to end. So we'll place a stretch on one end of the nerve, but also offload it at the other end. Okay, so let me show you how that goes.
Okay.
So standing like this with our hand beside our head facing upwards, palm to ceiling, what we're going to do is gently straighten the arm away and tilt the head at the same time. So what this is doing is placing a gentle stretch onto the nerve at this end, but also offloading it at this end. And then as you bring your hand back, we're going to straighten the head. So the idea is to get nerve movement without nerve stretch. And you should feel a gentle pulling sensation down through the top of the arm or even into the hand, but it shouldn't be painful. Coming back.
So this would help you if you're getting kind of numb hands maybe, or sort of you're not quite getting the flexibility in your wrist that would allow you to hold the bars for long periods of time.
Particularly with those numbness or tingling type sensations, neural gliding exercises are very helpful.
Okay.
And we just want to do 8 to 10 reps of this and stop. You can do it a couple of times in the day, but you're not looking to do extra sets and reps, and you're definitely not looking to push an extra stretch on here. So it's not more is better.
And is this something you can do on a ride if you are suffering with numb hands, kind of on a ride, maybe you stop for a coffee and you're really suffering, could you just do this in the ride, or is this something you need to do before, really?
This is something I would recommend that you do separately. During a ride, the best thing to do is actually just to get off your bike, shake your hands out and improve circulation and take yourself out of that riding position.
Okay, yeah. So just some simple shakes and rest, really. Okay,
perfect.
Great. Brian, thanks so much for giving us a helping hand and solving that wrist pain. Is there anything else we need to think about, though, in terms of pain in our wrists?
Yeah, look, the main thing is if it's not improving with the advice over a couple of weeks, then you should seek further assessment from a healthcare professional, whether that's a physio, a doctor, bike fitter, to try and get to the nub of the problem for you and get an individualized approach. So if you're not improving, get some further help and assistance.
Yeah, okay, that's very well said and good advice. And Brian, thank you so much for your time, providing all these handy tips for us today. But let us know in the comment section below if you suffered with wrist pain on the bike, if you stopped you riding even. I'll be interested to hear your thoughts. But for now, it's time to wave goodbye, and we'll see you on the next video. Thanks for watching, everyone.